then I'm going to steal your intro. You're sitting with Alan Winde, the Premier of the Western Cape. Let's talk about two of his favorite things, governance and cycling. And thank you very much for making the time. This is a real privilege for me, for Reichardt, for our channel to have the chance to chat to you. And for the viewers to hear your point of view, your perspective on all things, not politics, but governance and cycling. So thank you for your time.
Cool. It's only a pleasure to be with you. So let's get governance out of the way. It's really important to have good governance in any government structure or any business structure, because if the governance is right, then you can get to doing what you're supposed to be doing, like service delivery. Okay, now governance out of the way, so now we can talk about
cycling. Tick box. So, Alan, if I can, I'd love to start kind of at the start of your journey as a lightie, where you grew up, what got you into cycling, sort of like formative years, just to paint the picture for anyone that hasn't gone and grokked or ChatGPT'd who you are and where you're from. I have. So I want to see how accurately those facts check out.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I grew up on a farm, a small holding in Muldersdrift, outside of Honeydew or Randburg in Gauteng. Went to the local school, went to Boskop Primary School. You know, those days you could go to school with bare feet. It was really cool. And you lived on a farm. So, you know, you had tricycles and bicycles and gravel roads, and it was pretty good. And then I grew up on a farm where my mother was actually the farmer. My father was an industrialist. He had factories. So I had kind of the both worlds of agriculture and the business of agriculture. And then at the dinner table, I also heard, you know, the stories of the business of industry and the business of manufacture and assembly lines and bank managers and things like that. And I think that's a grounding for me to become an entrepreneur. I mean, there's always people ask me now, how do you become an entrepreneur? And it's difficult. I mean, they say you go and study entrepreneurship. I don't know how effective that is. Yeah. You've got to have a kind of something as an essence of it, and you've got to grow up around it. It's
you aren't.
Kids who are growing up where there's business around them, they have a much better chance of being an entrepreneur. But I mean, that aside, so that was sort of primary school and start of high school, and then my father moved his factory from Gauteng to Knysna. So I got given an opportunity. Do you want to finish school in Knysna or in Johannesburg? Well, there wasn't a choice. I finished school in Knysna, majored in surfing and skiing and diving. And then I
can you surf? Proper surf?
No, it was more paddle ski. I was actually the guy on the beach talking to the girls. And
I have to ask, as we moved here, and my son and I can't surf. One shore break, and that was the end of it. Shell shocked.
So I say surfing. I mean, we were always at Buffalo Bay, but the first real surfing I ever did, which was later on in life, was with Brian Chesky, the founder of Air BnB, who said the growth of Air BnB in Cape Town is so phenomenal. He wants to come and see what's going on here. And he said, but unfortunately, I don't meet in a boardroom. I will not meet you in an office. I want to meet on an activity. So I said, well, no boardroom. Let's meet on a board. And we went to Waves for Change in Muizenberg. And they basically gave him and I lessons on a longboard in Muizenberg. So that's the real surfing.
Good story. That's how you do boardroom meetings.
That's a real
founder of Airbnb.
A real boardroom meeting, yeah. But so then I finished school in Knysna. I then came to Cape Town. I was in the Navy for a while. And then I got drawn back to Knysna. And I got drawn back because my folks had a small business and they asked me to look after it while they were away. And I really enjoyed that. And then I kind of moved there and started businesses. And I spent 10 years and started 10 companies. So entrepreneurial, and perhaps there was where the cycling clicks in, because I had resin molding and injection molding, and there was signage and screen printing and all sorts of businesses, courier business, but I also opened a bicycle shop. And it was almost, I was one of those guys, if there was an opportunity, I saw an opportunity, then I'd look at a business. And a young chap called Niklas Brankies, who was the local general dealer, he repaired bikes and he worked at the local general dealer, and he came to me and said, no, he doesn't want to work there anymore. Can he work for me? And I said, you want to make signs? No. Why don't you tell me what we need for a bike shop, and then I'll put the money in, you put the expertise in, and Knysna Cycle Works was born. So yeah,
Beautiful. So up until that point, had you cycled beyond going to school on those gravel roads in Muldersdrift?
Yeah, not really. Just generally as a kid on a bicycle.
Yeah, just the standard issue stuff.
And so I
we're
had,
learning out on chain rings and
No.
ratios and.
But I mean, I had my chopper. You all had to grow up with a chopper, and then that turned into a 12-speed rally. But
I'm going to ask you for pictures of all of these that we can use as B-roll. So
in those days,
in the background,
I don't know. In those days, we had those kind of things.
Pictures of a picture.
The stuff that I was naughty at, there's no record, so it doesn't exist. But then,
where does the peach farm come into this?
Yeah, that was the organic
is that the peach farm?
fruit farm that I grew up on.
I'm amazed how literally it's as if Grok is sitting opposite me, because that is almost to the detail. The bike shop, the order of events, the courier, the printing. That's quite frightening.
Okay, so it knows what's going on.
Yeah, it does. Somewhere out there, this has been well documented.
Cool. But so then I'm living in Knysna. I didn't have the bike shop then, but a mate of mine said, "Listen, we can't just veg around. Let's get fit." So I said, "Okay, well, let's get a bike." And we both bought bikes and we started riding a bit. And then because I had a bike now and I was getting it serviced at the only local general dealer, that was when Niklas came to me and said, "Come, I want to come and work for you." And that's when I said, "Well, let's open a bike shop." And so, we opened this little bike shop. And then I started riding a little bit more. And, then came and did my first, they will kill me, August cycle tour. But that's exactly what it was, the August cycle tour.
What year is that?
Sure.
You remember?
I can't really, but
you remember your time?
It was a long time. I think my first time was about 3 hours and 16 minutes.
That's not slow. That's impressive. What is the route like then? Similar?
Yeah, I think I started in K group or something.
Okay. That's even more so impressive.
Yeah.
Because half the value of being seated high is the draft, and the group kind of dictates the pace.
The next year I didn't train, and then I got into a good group, and then I blew up.
G16 is proper for your first one ever.
Yeah.
What was training like before that? What is the industry like before that? I mean, it's quite well developed now.
Yeah, I mean, those were the early days when in Knysna and in Sedgefield, the downhill guys were starting to race down, and mountain biking was starting to, it was a new thing, but mountain biking was starting. People when moving into this new environment of mountain bikes.
Did that bug bite you at all?
And we
downhill mountain bike scene?
No, not downhill. Although I love going downhill.
Yeah, sure.
It's much better than going uphill. But not that kind of downhill. And then even in mountain biking, I mean, I've done my bit. I've done a few 1 to Wales and that kind of thing.
And the big one?
I'd love to do the big one day. You can't, politics and serving the people and training for that.
Give you a 7-day window to go ahead.
Doesn't go that well together. So one day, bucket list stuff, or maybe even the new gravel. So
gravel burn,
So I mean, I quite like gravel riding. We've got a house in Greyton, so you have to ride gravel when you're there.
Magic.
So that's pretty nice. And but my Victoria and coffee. So it's the Victoria Road out to Chappie's and the coffee shops along the way. That's the main cycling.
So from that,
area.
Those early days is that bicycle shop still around?
No, the sad part is it's about a year ago it closed down. But
where was it in relation to that fruit and veg?
Yes,
is that the one?
Where it was, yeah.
Okay.
Very close.
We bought a set of bib shorts from you then.
Okay. But I mean, I didn't own it then. I started it, had it right in the beginning. And then when I sold it, and it had a few owners from there and started to grow. I mean, it grew. It was probably, it was definitely the biggest bike outlet in that area and became probably in the garden route.
The one I went to was a proper bike shop.
Yeah.
It's you've no doubt seen bike shop plates down the drag. That shows you what's possible.
Correct. So, but in those early days, I mean, it started in a garage, and then it was 2 garages, and then it was 3 garages, and I mean, that's how it really started.
And was it predominantly bike sale servicing? What was the...
Or both, yeah.
Okay.
Bike sale services.
And as
bikes.
was the fire that burned to achieve excellence there, the bike shop, the cycling, the froth of the cadence, or was it entrepreneurship, business ownership, taking on something?
Business. It was, I always say
very led by that business interest.
It was about opportunities. So there was an opportunity. There was no place to service your bike. There was no place to buy a bike. People would buy bikes everywhere else. And so that became the opportunity. And when Niklas walked in the door, I still said, give me a list. What do we need? In those days, you would buy individual bull bearings. It was from Deal & Huth in Joburg, and you'd have the stuff shipped down, and it was so it was early days of my cycling, but also the change. I still remember in that stage of those bikes. That was when clip pedals, we moved from, when I first started, you had straps.
Yeah, they're like booty, almost like you get on the
and you tighten your leather strap.
Yeah.
And then Look came out with those first clip pedals. Yeah. And I was probably one of the first bike shops around to have Look clip pedals. And I still remember the Springbok Pros then with the Atkies Besaidenout and those guys were in a combi riding up and down the area, and they came to this little bicycle shop, 2 garages or 3 garages, to come and have a look at what these Look pedals looked like.
That's amazing.
It was quite cool. Yeah.
What did marketing and advertising look like back then? Print? Billboards?
No, definitely not
leaflets.
There was like local freebie newspapers, these little A4 half-fold newspapers.
Yeah.
I've actually got a picture somewhere. I'll see if I can find it of that of an original advert of Cycleworks in.
I asked because we sat with David Clark recently, and he got out a scanner from he's got a really cool logbook of all the fun rides he used to do.
Wow!
So listening to him and Brendan Stevens. I must thank for being the drive force behind this. And they talk about these fun rides. You see them doing these podcasts. Like, every weekend we'd go and we'd ride, and the family, and they'd go and do their loop, and you just kind of waited in this park, and then they came back, and like after the third one, I was like, wait a minute. Every weekend you had races in the southern suburbs, in a park with your family. Where did that go? It didn't dawn on me. I'm from Joburg, and while there may have been an era like that there, I don't know anyone talk. Back in the day, I remember when, and David Clark, Brendan, and many other, I call them purebred Cape Townians. They can officially stamp your passport once you've moved here, and it's fascinating to me like this. And he showed me some of the pictures of how the PPA used to organize these events, the leaflets, and it's like proper nostalgia. It's amazing. I think it's quite something.
When you're talking, I was thinking about, and I really don't even know where they are. They maybe disappeared in the fire in Knysna or something. But in those early days of those events, you always used to get a sew-on badge. And these big boxes of these sew-on badges, and
for the race.
That was when you finished, you got this like cloth sew-on badge that you could sew onto your tracksuit or whatever.
I fancy that. It's amazing how much it's changed, and I don't know how many people remember that and like sit and really think about it. Because
grey hair.
Mine not coming. I'm a father we've got 4 kids. And I can't imagine. I'd love us all going to somewhere on the weekend in the southern suburbs, doing a race around, descending O'Carps, or they talk about racing down the neck. I'm like, what do you mean you race down the neck and everyone's on road closure? Like, I know.
And then someone horse carts to get out of the way.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't relate to it. And then everyone is back at some park later on, and I can just see this picture of this community together. And they describe like people that weren't cyclists. They weren't cyclists. Brendan doesn't describe himself as a cyclist. Neither does David Clark. There was just something you did with your family, just so family centric, so community centric. And they talk like when you urge them to talk about it and think about what that time was like. It's like, come to think of it, there was a better understanding around people in a community. It wasn't effing cyclist, in the middle of the road. It's there's Dave, it's Brendan, Mr. Stevens. It was totally different. And I thought, shame, that's a bit of a loss there. Now, almost any road race, we're going northern suburbs and burning it around Durbanville, which is, I'm not complaining, it's great. I'm glad they've taken that on. We can go race there, but I wonder what happened. Where did that go? no one's given me a direct answer yet. It's kind of just, it's expensive and roads and traffic. And do you have a view on that?
I don't really. I mean, at that stage, I was in Knysna, and so I don't know about that. But when you were speaking, I was actually thinking of someone who's no longer with us, Tim Brink. And I remember him telling those stories, exactly those same stories. And maybe even, I don't know if you've interviewed David Belez, but he probably would be able to. Probably also tell some of those stories.
Wouldn't mind giving him a nudge. That would be great.
Yeah, no problem.
I think he'll have a really good understanding of how and
that
why.
Was the same time,
and critically, how to maybe not reverse the clock, but how you could get something similar again.
But at that time, like I said, I was in Knysna at that time, so we had the bike shop, and it was about weekend rides.
Yeah.
It was about the little clubs. They had these cycling clubs. Maybe this is actually one of the answers. So that you had to have a cycling club. We were called the Knysna Freewheelers, and we were the cycling club. And I think one of the biggest changes came on the back of WhatsApp. Because suddenly you didn't need a club because you had a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And now just think about it. You're going to go for a ride on a Sunday. You're sort of on the group. Who's riding today? Where we riding from?
Yeah.
So it does still exist in a way. It doesn't have the family component to it. Maybe sometimes it does, but you all meet at XYZ coffee shop and you all go and ride around the peninsula or whatever you're going to go to Chappie's. And so the clubs also, they've started to diminish unless there's a purpose club.
Yeah.
I think of Giants and how they're getting so many youngsters in, and you see them, they're out there training for an event on a weekend. You see the club, and but I bet you the only reason that they're all together that day is because the WhatsApp message that came the night before.
It's interesting you mention that, because it's what I want to work towards. I want to finish your personal cycling journey. Not that that's finished; it's still being written. But this community thing, to me at least, I'm not a professional. I never will be a weekend warrior. I use a coach, science to sports. I use nutrition. I nerd out a bit with power pedals and heart rates. Like I do all the weekend warrior stuff, but I always wonder when you're in that A-batch race in Durbanville and you got Dan Loebscher there and Alan Hathley, like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I don't belong here. Mr. Clark needs to relook at that seating algorithm of his, because I'm not meant to be there. But I'm hyper community oriented. I love when we moved to Cape Town, it's very cliquey and you're going to be lonely and you're going to miss your friends. That's the normal Joburg rhetoric. We moved here. A year later, it was my wife's 40th. We had 38 people there at Cape Point Vineyards, beautiful backdrop. And every single person there, I consider today a friend, a very strong acquaintance, all through the cycling community. That's mostly pure savage. It's an unbelievable community to be a part of. It's not just people you go cycle with. It's true sense of community in every sense of the word. It became employment relations, business relations, friendships, all the things that you need as a human to actually survive here today. Like you need opportunities, you need a network, as a businessman. Those are key things. And that was provided entirely through this beautiful little cycling community that we also happen to get fit by. And there's, all the endorphins that happen when you go and you ride, and we go to races and we demolish everyone else in the Atlantic seaboard come DC time.
Whoa,
and
fighting
when I think about what cycling means, it's not threshold, FTP, watts, heart rate, cadence, average speed. It used to be. It is now, to me, that community is life. And I've started we sat with Pops, he's the founder of Infinity, quite a big cycling group. Let's Ride, Southside Cycles, groups you probably haven't heard of. They're in their infancy, born out of a group of girls that didn't feel safe cycling on their own. He said, come have a little cafe in front of the agency, which has become like my sole focus. Like, here's keys, park at the back, come and start your rides from here. That was 3 goals a few months ago. They're now getting up to 30 people there together.
Amazing.
Why? Because human beings are getting together. They're organized on a WhatsApp group, but the connections are made sitting there. There was a lady that was there, her first time riding a bicycle ever. I had shivers when I saw it. I was like, that is amazing. That's real change happening there. And what does that roll up to look like in a community, in a city? And I think there's real change there. Not like cyclists are the knights in shining armor and this like angel that descends down, and when a cyclist is there, everything's better. But community is certainly built around activity. Whether that be running, whether that be trail, whether that be sitting in a park, It's not built around WhatsApp groups.
And that's a lot about who and what Cape Town is about in an essence. It's so you'll be out early on a Saturday morning going for a ride, meeting your mates, stopping in a coffee shop, but at the same time, these runners are coming past and they're doing exactly the same.
100%.
They're all just a group of mates who get together and they run a park run, or they run a marathon, or they train for something that's coming up. And
have you seen that ad campaign across the UK, not just a cyclist?
No.
And it's a picture, I've thought about this so many times. And it's the guy's a cyclist, obviously, but then half of his face is his fireman's helmet. And then it's a doctor.
Wow.
And then because we'd all know there's, cyclists are very focused on, but it's runners as well. It's anyone that's out on the road, which this is going to work up to a question, who does own the road? What does the law say about the usage of a road? When you're riding along.
And it's not a cyclist, it's a dad. It's it's the vet.
It is the
dentist.
It is the policeman. It is the person serving you your coffee at the shop. It's a human being. More than anything, my personal view is it's a South African. We all cheer for the Springboks at the end of the day. That's, for me, is probably the most unifying thing we do as a country, is we support the Boks. And they give us a hell of a lot back. And when you're sitting there and we're all cheering because we've won the World Cup for the 5th time, please. No one's like, hey, are you a cyclist before I celebrate with you? You know what I'm saying? Or a runner, or were you in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
And I don't know. When it comes down to usage of the road, but what is the hard and fast rule? If you're a cyclist, you're on a road that doesn't have a lane, by law, where are you supposed to be? What does the book say in terms of where you belong as a runner or a cyclist?
Well, as a cyclist, even as a runner or as a motorist, you've got to share this space. And, there's this big debate about, single file or two abreast. And it depends on where you are in the world. There are parts of the world that actually prefer you to be two abreast than single file. Here, they're very much single file. But that in itself has got its own risks. That's why we are very proud that this province, still the only province that has the wider than the rider ruling and a piece of legislation that says 1 meter. It went for 1.5 meters, but because of some of our narrow roads, it went to 1 meter. The law says you've got to be 1 meter away from that cyclist.
That's a Western Province specific law that is
Western Province law.
Passed, it's there, it exists today, and that is
correct.
You have to be a meter of a cyclist or run any other road user.
Well, that's actually a cycling legislation, so it's 1 meter wide of the cyclist. That's the gap that a car is supposed to give.
Survive the 5-second wait and then get around.
Yeah, well, that's always been my big argument, So you come around the corner and there's a cyclist or a few cyclists. And there's hooting and screaming. And then you say, but hang on a second, what would you have done if that was a truck going at the same speed? You would have pulled in behind the truck, no hooting and screaming. You'd have waited until the gap and then you would have passed the truck. Why can't you do the same with a cyclist? But it's also about the other side. That interesting thing is most cyclists are also motorists. But it's how we treat each other. And I always say as cyclists, because we are the vulnerable ones, we're the ones that must play the leadership role.
Yeah.
And so, try not to aggravate it. And, so when you're cycling in a group, the car back shout and do all of that, that is what gives the respect back to us when you do that. But when you don't do that, then it breaks it down. Stop.
Kill them with kindness.
And maybe sometimes this is where, I'm also in a difficult position. Stop at the traffic light, because the car stopped at the traffic light, so you stop at the traffic light.
And it aggravates them.
And
run through and skip.
Of course it aggravates them. And it's the right thing to do. So then there's this whole debate about should cyclists have licenses. It's about an entry into something. We want more people cycling. In actual fact, in the city of Cape Town right now is one of the top 10 congested cities in the world. This is where we should even have more focus on cycling and cycle buses. Now, most motorists don't even understand what a cycle bus is, but it's going to be a group of cyclists that are riding 3 abreast and 4 deep or 5 or 6 deep, and they're going to be moving on the road at 30 k's an hour, and you treat them as a moving block. Which happens in other parts of the world. If the front one going through the traffic light and it changes, the rule of the road is you let the whole peloton go through, and everyone stays calm until that happens. And then most of all, if anybody hits if a car hits a bike, it's the car's fault. That's the default, and then you work from there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not always the car's fault, because the cyclist.
And what's the benefits to road users' cars now? Let's say that gets passed, that gets adopted, it becomes successful. The net impact of road users should surely mean less congestion.
Correct.
The net gain.
Correct. And imagine if we can
pollution.
have more people cycling to school, cycling to work.
Yeah,
But parents are not going to just say, well, yeah, we go and cycle to school, because they worry that it's dangerous. And we've got to get past that. But that's actually where cycle buses come in. And, people start working together. And you see it building, and then you see it softening. And I think in another way is that we are too weather conscious. But when I was in Germany in February, and seeing people cycling to work in the snow, and you think, why on earth do we complain? You see moms with those clear covered three-wheelers with their kids in the thing going to school, and it's snowing.
I think the important word there is culture. There's a culture that allows it from a political point of view, from a social point of view, I've been fortunate enough to cycle in Europe on a few different occasions. Not one occasion, through the busy streets of Monaco, Italy, France, Nice, where it's like it makes this look like a breeze. Just like no one's revved up. So, I'm behind a cyclist, pass when you do.
Correct.
Life carries on. One, because there's so many robots. They know they're not getting ahead of anything. But it's just there's a patience.
There's a culture that we have to build. And this is where cyclists have to lead the culture change. Because the motorists are not going to lead it. We have to lead it. And the benefit is exactly that. It's a change in mobility. It is how we get more people getting around. And what a pleasure if we can get around on bikes.
And beyond that, do you have any particular views on why more people should cycle? Traffic removed from the equation. Like I can rant on for hours on end on why people should cycle.
Because it's fun and the endorphins are great. But for me personally, it's also got another very serious layer, and that's a health layer. So I had a bike shop. I sold it. I got involved in politics. I was way too heavy. And then I got a diabetic scare. And I went for my medical, and this is 20 years ago, and I got told that you're a type 2 diabetic.
Sure.
So that was a huge scare for me. But I was leading a bad lifestyle. I was waking up early, drinking a coffee, but skipping breakfast. Then I was too busy for lunch. Then I wouldn't eat properly until that evening. And then I'd overeat and raid the fridge and do whatever else. And that's what happens. You end up with type 2 diabetes. And then you can fix that with drugs, with medicine. All the research shows that in actual fact, because of the nature of that condition, it's degenerative. So it's going to get worse over your life span. And so whatever you do today, you've got to do as much as possible to fix it. And then the research shows that if you lose weight, exercise, and change your diet, you'll change your life. And so it all happened at the right time. And so I lost a lot of weight and I started riding. And those days I lived in Durbanville, and I just cycled to work in Cape Town. And it was great.
How long did that take?
It's about 35 Ks, and
it's under an hour.
It's less than by car, actually. I still remember I still remember we did something one day where Liesel van der Westhuizen and KFM then, and myself, and we started at the Rose Garden in Durbanville, and one person got on the bus and came to town. We got on our bikes, and someone got in a car.
It was like a Top Gear challenge.
And that was that sort of thing. And the car just beat us. But just beat us.
With no endorphins, no lost weight, no health gain.
And we had this great day riding into the office. I keep on saying to
they don't realize what they're missing.
The radio station should be actually having a traffic report that says at 7:00, "Hi everybody, there's a a traffic accident or crash on the N1, the average time from whatever point, choose a point, to town now is 1 hour and 23 minutes if you're traveling by car. By train is this, by bus is that, and by bike is this.
Yeah. And with the e-bikes where they are, there's like almost no excuse.
And that I think is our real challenge right now. I mean, from a vision point of view and our mobility department, I've said, we've got to get public transport fixed. And then how do we actually set a target? Let's set a target of just 25,000 people in Cape Town riding to work every day on e-bikes. Because then you can.
Is that a goal? Is that
every day?
Stands?
Yeah. So we've just set up this new department. That's one of the things that I've put to them. Let's get 25,000 people. Then what happens is you've got to get the business side involved to say, it's fine. If you come to work, we're going to get rid of your parking. We'll give you the benefit of that. Actually, even take the cost of that parking and add it to that person's salary. And say, we know you're going to actually buy a bike and you're going to have to buy clothing because it's winter and summer. So you got to, because it's not about the weather, it's about what you're wearing to help you.
There's not such thing as bad weather.
Just correct. Yeah. So how do the businesses help incentivize that? And then the endorphins will take over from there. And then you'll be a happy.
How's that been received?
So it's early days because I mean, really the focus right now is get the taxis sorted out and the trains going. But it is one of the projects that they've got to look at. I know that a number of the business leaders are really happy about saying, let's get involved in it. It's got to just now be put into a concrete plan.
How old is that mobility department?
So they were set up at the end of the last term. So now set up then to start in this term. They're now a year into this term. They've got a couple of things to get going when you're starting a new department. So they're not all there yet.
In Western Cape specific.
Yeah. So it's the only mobility department in South Africa now. So what I did is the end of last term is I had a look at the structure of government versus what we need to achieve. And there are two big things in South Africa where things are failing. The first is infrastructure. Electrical, sewerage, water, roads, rail, you name it in our country, there's a failure in infrastructure. Harbors, there's a whole infrastructure problem. Housing, you name it. So whose job is it? Well, housing is human settlements, and this is public works, and that is private sector development, and that is planning and municipal. So I said, hang on a second, we've got to put a team together who, when they wake up in the morning, it's infrastructure. So we closed the public works department and we closed the human settlements department and we created the infrastructure department. And their job is government infrastructure, but it's also how do you enable private infrastructure and how do you bring it all together in a big infrastructure plan. So they're starting. They've developed the 2040 and the 2050 infrastructure plans. They're starting to work together, private sector and public. Because if we don't get that right, then we're going to have the problems that we've got at the moment, which has been coming on for years. And then the same thing. I mean, we this hugely congested space. Mobility is about people. How do people move around? Then it's about goods. How do goods move around and how do services move around? So it's from data to roads to harbors and railway lines.
All of the above.
And so it's about a whole new way of thinking. And how do we enable
It's the best way. Well, the average Joe layman gets access to what this department's trying to achieve, what their goals are when
go onto the website, go onto the Western Cape Government Mobility website, and put some suggestions in. I'm actually going to there's a function. I think it's on the 10th in Hermanus with the opening of the. They've done the trail along the rocks, and they've sort of they've really got it all set up now, and they're doing the official opening. But just beforehand, there's a big mobility discussion. Andrew Wielden is going to be leading that part of the discussion. It's about mobility, and so we've got to have more of that. And again, it's government's one thing, but how do we feed into it? And this is difficult. Let me use an example. Is safety on some of the cycle lanes. And
me too.
It's tough. I personally have also been mugged on that cycling lane. I was, the cycling lane that when I came from Durbanville, that I said right over past Natita Wine Farm and then down to the refinery, and then from there you sort of cut across to get to the cycle path, which is the part coming from Tableview through to town. But when you get to the industrial area, it actually takes a left and goes around the back of the factories. Well, I was going around the back of those factories and I got mugged. And I mean, go and have a look. People don't ride that part of the cycle lane anymore. You go straight. Then you ride on the freeway. So now just to try and get a rethinking about how do we then move the cycle path probably to along the fence, along past the yacht club, past around the harbour. But just to get that going is difficult. It's not easy.
So it brings me to a really key question I've got, which is I and the majority of the people that I cycle with aren't whingers. And there's nothing worse for me than just complaining, never ending. It's like, what are you going to do about it? Like and for a lot of people, when you have the infamous coffee debate or the peloton debate, it's, these are the things that are problematic. No one actually knows how do we make a difference. No one wants to sit and just, the government, the usual, our role, and no one cares, no one's doing anything. And people genuinely don't know, okay, well, where do you go to make a difference? Is it money? Is it time? Is it effort? Is it someone's come and be there and lay the bricks, bring your paints and come help paint? And it's having asked the community, there was one question, I could ask that you once answered. It's practically, how do you get involved actually to make a difference across the board? Cycle lanes, cycle safety in general, better awareness, because there are, as I'm sure you know very well, incredible business leaders with a critical asset, which is money and influence, marketing geniuses, people that can produce great content. There are so many capabilities within our industry that people would happily give, donate, leverage, whatever you want to call it, if they just knew how. Is there a single way to answer that question? Is there a forum or a single place these capabilities can come to say, how do we solve problems with government?
So from a government side, whether it's in the city and their mobility team or the province and their mobility team, those are the teams to engage with.
The mobility teams.
It's Isaac Seleku as the political lead in the province. Rob in the city. Those are the people. Obviously, in their world, what's dominating their time, it is probably the congestion. It is probably the safety on the roads in general. It is probably the rail system. It is probably the taxi. For us now, if you spoke to Isaac, what's keeping you awake at night?
The taxi situation.
People are getting killed and shot, and then he's in court and he's closing routes, and that is occupying his time. And so where does cycling fit in, and how do we engage with it, number one? So then it's also about pedal power and the role that pedal power plays. And, I really try often, probably 5 times a year, to get together with pedal power and go and do something some way, because that's about awareness. But from the cycling community side, it's also about leading behavior change, because what is it that you want? Let's talk about cycle lanes. So I think about the cycle lane through Woodstock. That bothers me every time I ride through there. Because here's the cycle lane. Green lane, painted all the way along there. It's actually a parking lot. And that lane's irrelevant 100%. Now. It's just irrelevant. I've always got this thing in the back of my mind that I can't do it. I'm not good enough on a bike. But where's the guy on the bike? He's got a tin of paint with a hole in it that's dribbling onto the wheel and just drive over the cars that are all parked on his bicycle. You've got a paint layered thing. And I don't know if you've ever seen it. That comes from the mayor in some city, Vilnius, Lithuania, where he put out a very strong warning to say, don't park in the cycle lane. And then a second, he said, if you park in the cycle lane, you will be sorry. And then he got a tank, military tank. He just drove over the cars in the cycle lane. I don't know what would happen if that happened here, but
it'd be interesting trying to find that B-roll.
But of course, the problem is, you can Google it, you'll find it. I promise you'll find it. It's available. But that's about this confrontation, and I think from a cyclist point of view, as I said earlier, how do cyclists lead the change? And are we going to be a city that has cycle lanes everywhere? And I don't know if we're going to have that, because what are the pressures that a city faces at the moment, or a municipality? It's about human settlements, informal settlements, water, sewerage. The cycle lanes come right at the end of that.
Got to be realistic.
So I ride in the morning. If I just do the loop down Gardens through the waterfront, round to coffee at Bootleggers in Buckoven, and then up over the neck, and then you're off to work at 7 or 7:30. Just a short little loop. Not one of that section that I've just ridden on has got a cycle lane. Some of it has got a bit of a yellow line, but otherwise it doesn't have. But I've got my light. I've got all the stuff that I need, and I've got to follow the rules of the road. And so, how do you get that relationship right? And it's us as cyclists that have got to create that environment. But how do we take it to the next level? And you spoke about business leaders, and so maybe we've got to talk about that and say, well, what are the behavior changes that we want to see? Because we must lead the behavior change that becomes the norm. That in actual fact, you don't need the cycle lane because the motor's going to give you your space.
I agree completely. I don't think that I think the cycle lane is and Woodstock's a great example because we come through there every Tuesday and Thursday. And if you want, we joke, like if you want to get a puncture, go in the cycle lane. It's definitely, the idea is novel, but practically it doesn't work. And the rest of that loop, Chappies, O-Carps, which has become, probably one of our favorite parts of the loop. It's got a nice big shoulder. And interestingly, there was some overgrowth from, Silvermine, glass in the road, and people were complaining about it. It's like, guys, I'm sure there's a way to report this or someone that we can phone. Someone did. They phoned whatever they phoned, and they're on the website. There's that, you report something, you drag the pin, then you drop it, and it felt like a miracle to everyone. Like a week later, all that stuff was cut away. I don't know when last you cycled over O-Carps. It is magnificent. It's so nice. You have a big shoulder. I can't recall one time I've been hooted at along there. It's a perfect example of how well it can work. Everyone's winning. No one's complaining. Okay, now there's some glass there. Again, there's an accident. We've all marked it. I'm sure it'll be fixed in the next little while. And it just shows you don't need to go and put cycle lanes everywhere. That are just going to irritate everyone even more. And it puts the runners against the cyclists because they're now running that lane. And the amount of interactions I've seen negative between cyclists and runners about being in my cycle lane. It's just like, you lead the change. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And cyclists
I remember,
I
think it was Pure Savage that ran a sort of, there was this, and maybe it's almost opposite aggression and it's not really leading the change, but it was showcasing because everybody's always complaining about the cyclists. They ran this article of whenever they were out and a motorist ran a red traffic light, they would click the motorist. They did, but then they'd say, you always say we're ones running the lights, but these guys also running. And it's about how we all behave on our roads, and we've all got to take this together and say, let's create the change.
There's a social fabric that needs to develop.
And maybe the biggest point is that, in actual fact, this is a solution to the congestion that we all face. Because it's interesting because the congestion, you can feel it. It's now it's a I've got another meeting across town, and how long is it going to take me now? And it's a problem because you can't plan properly, and we need to fix this, and we all need to fix it. Of course, government's got a leading role, but cyclists can also play a leading role, and they can influence motorists and
want to. I mean, that's a big thing. There's a desire. I look forward to seeing that change, coming up with the ideas. I think it does need the advertising in me. It does need a campaign that becomes everyday life. We talk in marketing terms about campaigns and always on. You've got to move away from campaigns because they're expensive, they cost lots of money. And there's not often continuity to always on. What are you always doing that makes sure that you're visible and top of mind and have brand recall? And that's what you need. You need something that's always
a challenge. How does one of these groups of cyclists find a way that once a quarter, we're going to try and get our town planners and traffic officials, the people that sit in the desks in our departments, out of there behind their desk and on a bicycle. Come ride with us. Brand new, never ridden before.
Taxi drivers.
We'll ride with you.
Imagine how lucky it would be if you had 20 taxi drivers with you there.
Except I must say, if I've got to choose who's going to be around me,
taxi every day.
I'll choose a taxi anytime. Those guys.
So the reason I say the taxi drivers, and I go back to the KZN riots, and COVID for that matter, they have, where their will is placed in the right place, they have immense influence. You want to make shit happen, get the taxi guys on your side. I'm sure you know this better than anyone. I I get the stigma around them, and a lot of them are fathers as well. They also support the Springboks. They're still South Africans. So they all tick the same boxes. We're going to get to separate them as cyclists.
But from a safety point of view,
if you've got them involved,
I think, I'd much rather have them, and sorry, moms, but I don't like a mom on a phone, in the
tracing the pumpkin cappuccino from,
No, I want someone on the road, op en wakker, they are, because
they operate, they're working.
Sure. And so,
and that's proper social fabric change if you're getting them involved. So I'll happily collaborate on said challenge and critically look at how you produce something at the end of that, visual, multimedia, that you can touch, feel, and work with afterwards, and create FOMO. People must see that campaign and be like, damn it, I wasn't there. So-and-so was there, and so-and-so was there, and a taxi driver was there, and this official was there.
It's a cool challenge. Okay, let's do it.
There's so many right here innovating things in our little cafe every morning. It is unbelievable. The stuff that they come up with. Some of them are challenges. Some of them are first time this. Some of them have nothing to do with cycling. There's
so the taxi ride. Okay, let's do the taxi ride. Where we actually even get a couple of e-bikes for these guys, and so it becomes a bit easier, not too much of a challenge. This thing, the cabinet cycle tour. So it's about a few things. It's about road safety. It's about getting out of your comfort zone. It's about enjoying riding on a bike, which I enjoy. But now suddenly I've got members of my cabinet who haven't ridden bikes since they were kids, are now suddenly on an e-bike riding across the province. The first day is panic. By the second day, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Euphoria.
And they're enjoying it. And the same thing with the heads of department who are joining us. And so, it's about that mentality, about sharing the road. It's about, all of the things that go with it. And so maybe we need to take that further. And so how do we take, the taxi bosses and let's put them on bikes and
imagine that's the thing that takes all the steam out of the current friction.
Breaks the
let's go ride a bike, guys.
Okay, let's do that.
We game.
Okay. All right.
A couple of really important questions. Do you know what KOTAS stands for? KOTAS.
No.
Kings of the Atlantic Seaboard.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you?
No.
You haven't seen the meme account?
No.
So these are important questions.
Okay.
These are, you have
But I've got a counter question. Do you know who VNC are?
No. Educate me.
It's a group of guys who ride Victoria and drink coffee.
So we should get them together and show them there's a meme page set up that is entirely dedicated to mocking Savage, the Perla Classic LPC, Mother, who have now since flunked out, also known as the Barney Crew, E-City Cycles. There's this King of the Atlantic Seaboard battle.
Does the Barney Crew don't exist anymore?
No, they've pulled out this year, retiring while they're at the top. It was quite ironic. On Tuesday, I went and rode with the E-City Cycle guys. Yes. They came through for a podcast interview. Jared, incredible shop, amazing community-centric business. I'm sure you know them. And there were all these homeless mother riders in Sea Points, where there's, it's known to be a few homeless people strolling around, like lingering around this ECC group because DC's around the corner. Kind of like vying for, I'm available, like courting, all of which dropped me. I got absolutely blown to smithereens on Tuesday, so I can't really mock. But anyway, there they were. I just had to ask the question. Will you be doing DC this year?
Yes.
Who do you do it with?
I do it with a team that Belair's puts together.
Okay.
We start first and end last.
Okay.
So it's very much a social group. That's like the VNC.
Charles
Milner. So yeah. And we stop for coffee. Sometimes the riders in front take a right at the top of the pass and go and have milkshakes at Diesel and Cream while the rest of us catch up. Yeah. And but that's what it's about. It's about camaraderie and enjoying the day out. And the day, it's a very special day. So we're definitely not the racing snakes.
I want to try and appeal to Mr. Belair to get a KOTAS podium, because he'll know exactly what we're talking about. Bicycling Magazine covered it last year. There's this meme account that no one knows who owns it. No one knows who the person is behind it.
Okay.
People have been held down, their phones unlocked to see if they own the meme account. It is brilliant because he does strike nerves. He, she, whatever. Has moles, inside information about every team, knows everything going on, and no one knows who it is.
I'm going to check it out.
There's a really good story developing there, and it brings people that are not even in cycling into cycling, because we're making jokes about one another, and it's like it just takes the sting out of it. But come race day, pretty serious.
Okay.
I mean, we sulked for a good 2 weeks. We lost, I think, by like a second last year. Something like that. It was a real sulk. So anyway, I'll stay tuned to your first to last results on the day. Look forward to seeing you guys out there in the tent for a beer afterwards, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Cycle tour. I mean, that's do you go out there to try and go sub 3? Is it ride and enjoy?
Not at all.
Okay.
So generally, first coffee in Cork Bay.
Okay.
Breakfast in Scarborough.
What's your breakfast spot in Cork Bay?
Normally bootleggers, but it depends. Sometimes it's up the side road into Olympia Cafe on the side there.
Olympia's got proper history and nostalgia around it, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone for dinner at their restaurants?
I have.
It's good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
Any other big events from a purely cycling? Like, is there anything you really go for in the year? Like, really train towards in terms of like a PB, a good time, or is it
no
all vibes now?
It's all just enjoy the ride.
Okay.
Definitely enjoy the ride. I'm never going to win, so it's rather just enjoy it.
Good
I had to go to the US now because I was supposed to, for the second year I had to cancel the canola roller.
Okay.
Which I wanted to go.
Keen for the gravel? Is that pique your interest?
No, I like gravel.
What is your preferred bike brand? What is your road bike?
So, I don't have a road bike. Both of them are kind of gravelish, although I've got a Cervelo C5 that is my normal bike here in town. And on the gravel, I've got a Cannondale Topstone.
And World Tour, are you a Teddy or a Jonas fan? It can be somebody else's, but who's your pick out of those two?
No. I think I'm moving to Jonas, but because I haven't been before.
Me neither. I went and spectated him up close this year with Jonas's team this year for 2 days.
Is it because we always want to
love an underdog?
Yeah, we want to move to the next guy.
But the way Jonas rides is a bit lackluster, and it's a bit I can't find the politically correct term.
Like me,
but he's I can't handle it. Just sits on his wheel all day and hopes that he come on, man.
Yeah,
grow a pair and go race the guy. Yeah. Teddy, that's the problem. He's so likable.
Yeah.
He races.
Absolutely.
He does what any of us want him to see him do. But he is, there's a video of me cheering. I'm very vocal about how much I don't like Jonas. And there's a video of me cheering for him on the,
cool.
What was it called? That's the Queen stage. Can't believe I'm forgetting the name of the climb. Anyway, we were there and I'm screaming, come on, Jonas, while he attacks Teddy Pogacar, and people were shocked.
Have you ever had the opportunity to do that ride that goes before the...
Mont Ventoux.
Mont Ventoux,
yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
The ride that goes before, earlier in the day.
Oh, I'd love to.
I was invited once.
Haven't, but it's
I was invited once and bloody government got in the way,
Heavens, taxis. Probably a cyclist.
I always say government gets in the way of my cycling.
Yeah.
There's always something else to do.
Well, just sort it out as quickly as you did the governance part of this conversation.
There we go. To get it done and dusted.
Yeah. Alan, I've really enjoyed chatting to you. Thank you for making the time.
And your pleasure.
Covered more than I could have hoped to. It goes without saying that Active Hobo, our production abilities, anything we have, our cafe is entirely at your disposal for whatever you want to do for the good of the community, whether it be those pesky runners, taxis, cyclists. We are community obsessed. We want to make a difference.
I don't know why people run.
So this is your video evidence proof. We have committed our undying support to you.
Thank you very much. Why do people run when they invented bicycles?
Oh, running's good. I'll quote Dan Loeb's show. Running is pure. Such a Cape Town thing to say, but it's so true. It's the most. I can't believe how much I enjoy running. Since moving here, it's so good.
Yeah.
As soon as you get past the third week of stiff legs, incapable of walking, got a 1-year-old, I've got to get up and down a flight of stairs. Like, it's emotional for those first 3 weeks, and then it's golden. And it does help you cycle faster. You don't lose weight cycling. That's the problem. At a point.
Yeah.
Once you drop, you plateau. It's not like if you're not getting a 3-hour riding, you're even getting fitter.
But you must then do a bit of intermittent fasting.
That diet you spoke about earlier, coffee in the morning, no food, no time for lunch, binge in the evening, I'm kind of in the middle of that storm.
No,
and then feeling for the ride.
That's not good for us.
But DC's around the corner. I've got to drop some weight and pick up some power, so sacrifices.
Or you've got to just do DC the way we do it.
Not yet. We've got the KOTAS to win it.
Still, not have grey hair.
And hopefully Belize gives us a podium. Then we're really going to go for it. I haven't been able to table that to him yet. So I'm going to save it for the podcast.
Okay.
Which hopefully you can help nudge him towards.
Yeah, I'll nudge him. I'll give him a message now.
Do it for the community.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Tom.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to that challenge of how we're going to get some taxi drivers out on bikes.
Taxi cycle.
Yeah.
Got to find a sexier name for it.
Yeah. I mean, I really do enjoy seeing the taxis now. Not a lot of them, but every now and again, see taxis with bike racks on the back.
I've not seen that.
I've seen it.
Okay.
That's really cool.
I don't know of any taxi driving cyclists.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure I'll find some.
It would interfere with practically, it would interfere with their peak trade period. If you think about when they'd be cycling, it'd be interesting. But I would...
But let's just at least get some of them on bike. I think that's a great idea. I think we should have more taxis with bike racks on the back, because that would also help it a lot more. When you know...
Imagine you've punctured on the side of the road when you're stuck. Instead of getting an Uber...
Correct.
Get a taxi.
The taxi will pick you up.
It's that social fabric thing.
Correct.
You're getting people in, not you there, I'm here.
Correct.
That's connected. I've done a few taxi rides in my life. I've never had a bad experience. Used the train, walked around.
Yeah.
I don't think 5% of Cape Townians realize how well that train works. How well so much of the stuff that is already there. Is it perfect? No. Do you guys need to do more? And are you trying to do? Of course. But what's already there, that was just fully utilized.
Yeah, that's also how we can lead as citizens. We can lead by actually using public transport more.
You're allowed to take a bike on the train, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and there are certain of the My City buses you can also fit your bike on.
So I think if people knew that, take your bike, get on it. I'm in Noordhoek, get on Fishhoek. The fact that you can get a train from there to town still blows my mind.
But that is also but isn't that also the nudge we've got to get right? So
100%.
So when you're in Europe and you catch some of those trains, I mean, the cyclists get priority seating because you're a cyclist.
Getting a cyclist to just get on a train is its own thing. I don't think that it's dawned on them that it's even possible.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it's not just, you can go and do it. This is Cape Town. It's got to be a vibe. VAAB. It's got to be a vibe. So you got to get them to a morning rave. We saw one this morning just opposite. Have you seen that? First Thursday, which I know you've done a First Thursday collaboration or two in your life. Just, what is it called? Nest? Just over here? Literally, if you walk through the side of the building, on that side, there's a church and a little coffee shop called Nest. They had a full-blown rave going there this morning.
One of these coffee raves, yeah.
And it's like, so you got to get them on a train to a rave, vibes for days, get it back on your bike, then you will get it. It has to be a campaign. And then that becomes always on. It becomes normalized. Where it's, like on a Saturday morning, we're going through with our kids to that rave that doesn't involve anything other than good times and coffee and 0% beer, healthy, family. Like, there's so many ways you can bring it together. And you just need a few TikTok reels to go viral, create the FOMO, people get them. It's like, people are coming on their bikes from Fishhoek and riding here with their families and going back on the train and costing, that train it's like for free. 8 rand, I think I paid for something for it. It's ridiculous. And it's just get them to do it. It's a family day out.
Exactly.
You don't have to go and congest the neck and have death-defying descents, which I still can't wrap my head around. I think with a bit of help from any departments of government to say, like, let's do it. Awareness. Bring some taxi drivers with.
Let's do it.
There's magic to be made.
Let's do it.
Keen.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you for your willingness.
Thanks.
And for your time.